What's up, everybody? Joey here with Drumforge, and today I wanted to show you some tricks on how you can actually get your production elements in your songs and your mixes to jump out without actually having to use volume or change the EQ or the tonal balance of production elements. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, first of all, sometimes these production elements are a pretty deep part of the production. They sit kind of in the mix or just slightly underneath the mix. They're not really popping out, and that can be challenging to get them to be audible or to have them actually fit into the mix in a way to where you can tell that they're there and they're not distracting. But they add so much to the song. It's almost like those elements that people often say you can feel that they're there. You can't necessarily hear that they are there. And there are some techniques that you can use to actually make them pop out in the mix. And I actually wanted to show you this trick using a brand new plugin that we just launched at Drumforge called DF-XCITE 2. It's a total redo of the original plugin. Let's jump into the DAW and check it out. So let me show you the scenario here. This is an attack song, and it starts right off the bat with percussion elements. Just want to play that for you. We're going to turn off these plugins real quick. And here's what it sounds like right off the rip. And there's some other spots in the song where it comes up, like right here. Way into my lungs, like a simple play. And here. So these percussion elements often have their place in productions. They are there to enhance, build energy, bring different elements into the production that kind of give a different feel and a different emotion, for example. And sometimes you don't necessarily want to turn these up. You don't want to compress them more. You don't want to add EQ. You don't want more volume out of them. You just want them to actually serve their purpose, which is to bring that energy or bring that feel. And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use DF-XCITE 2 to bring out these elements in the mix without increasing the volume and without EQing it. And the way that that works is Harmonic Exciting. So harmonic exciters add saturation to the sound, and they don't necessarily increase the volume, or at least there's a way to where you can use it to where it's not increasing the volume. So I actually am using a loudness meter here on this track. So I'm going to leave that on the whole time, and we'll be able to observe what's happening with the true peak as well as the LUFS, and that's going to kind of guide us in terms of volume. And then, of course, I'm going to have the DF-XCITE 2 plugin in use. All right, so let's start with the first strategy here, and that is, how do we get this percussion stuff to actually jump out in the mix? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by switching the mode. So DF-XCITE 2 comes with a multiband set of modes, and these are optimized frequency ranges for the different purposes. Like, for example, if you're loading up light guitars versus heavy guitars, you're going to have a slight tonal shift there, versus clean guitars, versus, let's just say, rock snare. Totally different frequency ranges, and the crossovers are going to be different. Also, for those of you that used the original DF-XCITE plugin, there's the legacy and the modern modes as well. So just know that that's there for you. For this part, I am going to actually use the EDM kick mode because there is an EDM kick in this loop, and actually it kind of sets up these frequency ranges pretty nicely for us. So let's check out what it sounds like in solo. And I'm just going to kind of play around with the drive knobs and the different drive types, which are down here. You have 6 different drive types per band. And let's see what we got. Now, obviously, as I'm using the plugin right now, the volume is increasing, but you can see that on the output meter, and you can adjust for that on the output fader, which is something we will actually do. The whole idea here is, how do I get more out of this element in the production without making it seem like it's becoming the star of the mix, or it's getting louder, like something where you could have just done it with a fader. So you got to think about what's happening with harmonic saturation, because it is actually adding new frequencies and multiplying frequencies that are there to kind of get that sound that you're looking for, get things to jump out. So one of the ways I like to start is just kind of listen to that element. I pull it into the mix, and I'm going to have the plugin totally reset to default with the EDM kick setting for the mode. And let's just hit play. And as it's playing, I'm going to be picking different drive types for the different bands and pulling up the drive. I'll also lower the output fader as it's going, so I can try to match our predicted volume level here. So let's actually reset our fader real quick, because we want to know what our baseline level is. So here we go. Cool. So we have our baseline long-term level here, aiming around -16 LUFS at the max. Let's go ahead and start shifting around some drive types and some drive in some of these bands and see if we can get this element to pop out in the mix without getting too loud. Okay, so we're sitting at -16 right now. Let's go ahead and do a before and after bypass just to see if we're actually getting those elements to pop out in the mix without making them louder. Yeah, so you can see a little goes a long way. Basically, just adding that tiny amount of saturation in some of those bands really helps it out. And the multi-band part of it is really great because basically you're able to determine, like, you know, I want some saturation here, but I don't want to touch the low mids. I want some saturation here, but I don't want to touch the high mids. It kind of depends on the scenario. So that's the beauty of having the multi-band option there, because you can essentially get those harmonics in the right place where they belong. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thanks again for watching. If you haven't already, download your 14-day free trial of DF-XCITE 2 over at drumforge.com. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Tap that bell to get notified whenever we upload new videos. And until next time, happy mixing.